TikTok compilation that might wake you up and change your reality. Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
If Drake and Kendrick Lamar got in a rap battle, who do you think would win?
You got to go with Kendrick. I'm just saying. I think Drake is an outstanding entertainer, but Kendrick, his lyrics, his last album was outstanding.
Excellent. All right.
Best album I think last year.
Thanks so much for your time, Mr. President.
Kendrick gonna sample this in a minute. You know, someone said Drake now stands for "Don't rap against Kendrick ever." But I never liked Obama.
That no one knows what this guy is doing right now. A man is attempting to become the first person ever to walk the entire length of the United States barefoot. He started his over 5,000-kilometer walk in February, and as you'd imagine, his feet have already taken an absolute battering. He's already had to walk through snow, which he says was so cold that it makes every pebble feel like you're walking over a Lego brick. But if the cold wasn't bad enough, he will soon have to walk through the Midwestern summer heat, which will easily reach temperatures of over 100 degrees. And because of that, similar to Russ Cook running through the Sahara, he says that he's gonna have to walk overnight because during the day, the paving will just be too hot. He's almost been hit multiple times by massive semi-trucks not paying attention and pushing him off the road. The nerve endings on his feet are so bruised from stepping on rocks that it keeps him up at night. He's had really bad infections that haven't had enough time to heal, because if he does take days off and doesn't make it to New York before the winter, he is screwed. And the part which just blows my mind, he's doing all of this to raise awareness for men's mental health, because he himself, after leaving the army, fell into such a deep depression that it led him to the edge of a cliff. But despite this amazing cause and what he's putting himself through, he has only 139 followers on TikTok and only 412 on YouTube. I mean, that should be illegal. He's got about 6 months of walking left to do. So please, let's show this man some support and push him through.
After that trip, he's gonna have really strong feet. You know, I love walking barefoot. And support the guy.
Remember this girl who discovered that all of the presidents, except for one, descended from one guy. Now that was found in 2012, so that does not include the presidents that came after 2012, so Trump and Biden. But she discovered that they all descend from King John of England. And that would be interesting, except for the fact that this guy's father was King Henry II. And if we look at King Henry II, whose names do we see? Do these names look familiar? Guess what? That's OJ's line. That's Britney's line. And that's Beyonce's line.
What?
So they're also related to all the presidents via this homie right here. And yes, this is the same line that leads to Charlemagne. I'm related to Charlemagne, but this isn't my line. And if you think it's just common to be related to royalty, it's really not. And the fact that she could find it, most people's trees don't go this far back. It's kind of hard to find somebody that's got that royal root. And the fact that 42 of the 43 presidents, just Van Buren, that doesn't link up. Interesting.
Secretly, America has always had a monarch, which we just call president, you know. I think leadership is an inherent trait. If you know, you know.
That's why you need to be careful what music you listen to. Because if music can get rid of a demon, it can attract one. And most of the music out here now attracts demons. Then you wonder why your lifestyle, you grooving and bumping in the car, but when you get out, you can't wait to figure out why your life is standing still. Sometimes it's the music that you're listening to, because whoever you listen to was on them attaches itself to you. Rick Joyner said that he was in a vision. The Lord told him, he said in the last days, he said the enemy will bring up singers and other musicians. He said, and they will baptize millions of people into the demonic in one moment. Whoever you accept,
they're doing it already.
It was on them. I reject a whole lot of stuff. So I reject stuff in the world. Unfortunately, I reject a lot of stuff in what we call church. You know, not all gospel music is gospel.
I love old school gospel. This new school stuff, I cannot get with. Some of the new ones I noticed becoming sound like the secular music. They even dance like the world music with that bumping and grinding. It's wild.
Am I the only one who thought that when the weather app says that there's a 20% chance of rain, that means that there's a 20% chance that it will rain today? Well, I found out today that's not what that means. No, not even close. And let me tell you, I feel shocked. I feel deceived. I feel violated, perhaps. Okay, so what it actually means is, let me get my glasses. So what it actually means is There's gonna be rain in 20% of the area that you live in today. Sorry, I feel like a nerd breaking this information to you, so that's why I put glasses on. Now, am I just an idiot, or did you also not know this? By the way, have a good day.
I had no clue. I thought it meant there'd be a little light rain problem early morning or late night.
Scientists once tried to identify the most accurate portrayal of a psychopath in film history. Here's who they landed on. The study's called Psychopathy and Cinema, Fact or Fiction, and it was published in 2013 in the Journal of Forensic Sciences by Samuel J. Leisted and Paul Linkowski, who are both MDs and PhDs. For the study, they had senior forensic psychiatrists and film critics watch over 400 films. From that, the group identified 126 psychopathic characters. Some famous movie villains like Patrick Bateman and Gordon Gekko didn't make the cut because their traits don't exactly fit the psychopath mold. Meanwhile, killers like Norman Bates and Hannibal Lecter were deemed as scary but not realistic. Bates was found to be more psychotic, while Lecter's vanity and cunning was not typical of real psychopaths. So here were their top three. Henry from the 1991 film Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, Hans Beckert from 1931's M, and the number one most realistic portrayal of a psychopath in film is hitman Anton Chigurh, played by Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men. One of the study's authors said, "Chigurh does his job and he can sleep without any problems. In my practice, I have met a few people like this," which is downright chilling.
I've also heard that Todd Alquist from Breaking Bad is a pretty realistic portrayal as well. And No Country for Old Men is one of my favorite movies. Disclaimer, folks, the next clip is sad and disturbing.
A man who raped a teenager outside of a library appeared in court to appeal his 65-year prison sentence. Kendrick Morris was found guilty of a vicious attack on a teenage girl which left her paralyzed and blind. Morris was originally sentenced to 65 years without the possibility of parole. However, he went to appeals court as he thought the sentence was too harsh, considering he was a teenager at the time of the incident. Since Morris was 16 when he committed the crime, he believed he should be eligible for parole at some point. However, the judge did not sympathize with Morris, and instead sentenced him to life in prison. This was not the first Morris had committed, and this played a big factor in the judge's decision, as well as the fact Morris was armed during the attack. Morris will be able to have his case reviewed again in 2031, but it seems unlikely he will be released anytime soon. What do you think? Should he be eligible for parole or spend the rest of his life in prison?
Nope. All his fellow inmates should be shown the footage of his victim. If you know, you know. And the young lady living a life sentence and her family too.
This dentist was like, "You have really nice teeth. It's so white. What did you do?" And I said, "Thank you very much. I floss and I brush every day." He said, "No, like, did you take any treatment?" And I said, "During the I had these Crest White 3D strips, and I did about 6-7 treatments, and then I just stopped because it made my teeth so sensitive and I couldn't handle it anymore. So I stopped." And he said, "How did it maintain so white?" And I said, "I have been oil pulling." And his face was like, and I said, "What?" He said, "Oil pulling, it's not proven to help with white teeth." And I said, "If you run it back from ancestry all the way down, when the people them didn't have this kind of technology to use, go have treatment and stuff, they did the coconut oil pulling." I mean, I didn't have facts to back it up, right? But I just know deep down in my guts, like, this is a good treatment for me to do. The oil pulling is natural and all of that. And then he said, "Yeah, my wife does it, but I don't think it's as logistic as it seemed to be." And I said, "But does she have nice white teeth?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, so what's the problem?" He said, "You know, as a dentist, to keep us in the business, we have to do these treatments and recommend to our patients." So there you have it, folks. They just want your money. They just want your money. Just keep doing your oil pulling. Continue looking up natural remedies and save your money. Only go to the dentist when you need a root canal. I have videos back so you can look at oil pulling, but if you need me to do it again, which I do normally, I can make videos and show you how to do it. But girl, save money. Go save your money. Also, oil pulling is not only for the ladies. Guys, come on, get on it.
Wow, I'm going to try this. I have sensitive teeth. I think all I gotta do is just like shake the oil around in the mouth, right? You know, like swish. Am I right? Please let me know in the comment. Amazing. It doesn't look like a natural formation. What do you think?
Why are you doing bunny hops, Meek? Because you got your ass beat in tennis. You got your ass beat. Keep going. Count out loud. Count out loud. Huh?
6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 41, 42.
Keep going. Keep going.
7, 8, 9, 1, 2.
Keep going. Keep going. Don't cheat on your bunny hops. They suck. Your bunny hops suck. You got.
People who know humiliation rituals. Dignity over money. Don't chase money. This life is temporary, folks.
You wake up in the morning and you do not like to eat. You're not hungry.
Yeah.
It's probably because your blood sugar is very, very low. Probably because you have very good blood sugar regulation. So then what happens is you wake up in the morning, you're fasted, you don't feel like eating, your blood sugar continues to trend down.
Okay.
You eat late in the morning or early in the afternoon and it skyrockets, right? This is why you have an energy slump between 2 and 4 in the afternoon.
But this is also when you're powered by glucose, when you're not on ketogenic.
Right, when you're not on ketogenic. So you don't want your blood sugar to look like a heart monitor. You want your blood sugar to look like rolling hills.
Yeah.
So some of the best things that these women can do is get 20 to 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking.
Okay.
Because remember that a prolonged period of low blood sugar will be perceived by the pituitary gland as starvation, and it will begin to throttle back your metabolism.
I eat after 12 p.m. In the morning, I drink big glass of hot water. My mother as well. It becomes our routine now.
Dementor! Do you see him? I don't know what that is. Maybe it's be lightning. I'll tell you what that is, Michael. That's Dementors.
75% of the mass of a human brain is made up of a substance called myelin. And myelin is made up 100% by cholesterol. I'll leave it there. On a separate and completely unrelated subject, Alzheimer's disease is a neurodegenerative brain disease which destroys brain cells. Now, Alzheimer's never existed until 1979, and yet now it is one of the leading causes of death in Western societies. On a separate and completely unrelated subject, margarine was first invented in 1869 because Napoleon wanted a cheaper and longer lasting fat for his armies to travel with. It didn't gain popularity until the Second World War, when butter and other animal fats were scarce. It grew in popularity in the 50s, but by the 70s the animal fats in it had been replaced with vegetable oils, because obviously animal fats contain saturated fat and a lot of cholesterol, so they wanted to offer a lower cholesterol alternative. I'll leave it there. On a separate and completely unrelated subject, margarine is one molecule away from being plastic. Now, as any chemist will tell you, one molecule can make a huge difference to the finished compound. Take ethanol and methanol, for example. One molecule difference, but very, very, very different results when ingested into the human body, right? So I'll leave it there. On a separate and completely unrelated subject, a simple experiment to do at home is to take a slab of butter, a slab of vegetable margarine with no animal fats in, and a slab of plastic, and stick them all outside in your garden and have a look what happens. Very quickly, all the wildlife in the area is going to be attracted to that butter, from the flies and the beetles and the mini beasts, through the birds, the rodents, all the way up to the apex predators, foxes, badgers, bears. If there happens to be no other wildlife around, then bacteria and mold will very, very quickly consume it, because it's easily digestible for all organic life forms. The margarine and the plastic will sit there for weeks.
Oh my
Nothing
God.
in nature will touch them. Try it. I'll leave it there. On a separate and completely unrelated subject, I invite all GPs out there to check your patients' medical records and see how many of your dementia and specifically Alzheimer's patients have been on statins and or low cholesterol diets for many years. I'd be very interested to hear your feedback in the comments, and I'll leave it there.
On separate and completely unrelated subject, this is bad. Here in Indonesia, we use margarine for everything. We use it for fried egg, used for fried rice, for bread, everything. We even have this mindset that margarine better than real butter. This has to change.
They just released Micah Miller's 911 call before she took her life, and I'm gonna play it for you guys, but trigger warning, it is very hard to listen to. I mean, you can hear it in her voice.
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
Let me see. You don't know where you're at?
In National Park.
What's the phone number you're calling me from?
She's pretty.
843.
Where's the park located at?
In Bear Bluff.
Let's see.
I have my location on, I think, on my phone. Find My Phone is on. I just did my my location.
Okay, I'm showing, hold on one second. Are you at the Lumber River State Park?
Yeah, that's where I am.
Okay. Tell me what's happened.
I'm about to self, and
What?
I just want my family to know where to find me.
Okay, ma'am. Just listen to what I'm saying, okay? Let me make sure I got the exact location where you're at, okay? Just 1 minute.
It's been reported.
I think the dispatcher was trying to buy time without startling her. You know, in the movie, usually the dispatcher says, you know, what is the nature of your emergency first, right? Am I right? All right, please drop a comment and let me know how you feel about this. This is sad.
That 30 to 50% of the population does not have an inner monologue, aka they don't have conversations with themselves in their head.
This actually blows my mind that
What do you
people
mean?
don't have a voice in their head.
Everybody has a voice in their head.
No, I found this out. One of our friends was like, wait, what are you guys talking about? You have a voice in your head? You guys have conversations with yourself? She doesn't have anything in her head, and it's very obvious because she says everything out loud, even if it's stupid.
That doesn't. You have to, like, isn't.
Yeah, like you don't have thoughts?
Yeah, thoughts.
It's inner monologue. Some people don't have it. It's like
No.
studied in psychology. Yeah.
No. Impossible.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling to even imagine, but some people really don't have it.
That's impossible.
Can't happen. You're always thinking.
Right.
But some people don't have the inner monologue.
You have to think things to say things.
You have to.
You have to think things to say things.
Like, I wish we could get one of these people on to ask them.
They wouldn't be able to respond. They would have no thoughts, Bree. They couldn't even respond to our questions.
If you're saying they can't think it, it comes out, that would assume they're just talking out loud all the time.
They would have to be.
Yeah, this is bullshit.
Or they're just sitting there like this.
They're sitting there like,
They have nothing to think. Maybe they're just a little dummy.
Mm.
I gotta find one of these people and talk to them.
Inner monologue and thoughts are not the same thing. A perfect example is when you watch a movie and the actor or actress remains silent while a voice narrates. Similarly, as a true Christian, you can discern if the Holy Spirit is speaking to you. It resonates within your spirit. It's coming from the God. Even if your mind or flesh resists, if you know, you know.
Not Like Us diss track by Kendrick Lamar. I just explained to my husband that in A minor, there's no black keys. And he was like, wait, what? And I said, he's calling him white.
That's so genius. That is so genius. Like, oh my God.
There's so much to unpack in these songs.
He won a Pulitzer for a reason.
Yeah. Whoa.
You guys want to know why people of Hunza Valley in Pakistan are 100% free of the C word and live to be at least 100 years old? These guys right here. Most people living there have at least one apricot tree, and it is considered one of the most important crops in the valley. And come to find out, these are anti-parasitic, which makes you wonder. Anyway, I take 3 a day while I'm actively parasite cleansing. Sometimes I'll pop 1 a day. You don't want to take too many. 3 a day is my personal maximum. So if you're going to start these up and you decide to start taking them around your parasite cleanse, don't say I didn't warn you. These things will change your life.
They also fast religiously, which helps the body regenerate cells.
This is history the mainstream media will never tell you. In July of 1988, the U.S. Navy shot down a civilian commercial airliner, Iran Air Flight 655, killing all 290 people on board, while it was flying its usual route in Iranian territory. The U.S. claimed that it had mistaken the airliner for an F-14 fighter jet and that it was a terrible tragedy. They also claimed it was self-defense, even though air traffic control records showed that the airliner identified itself multiple times. So what was the aftermath? Did Iran launch a counterstrike? Did they try to target U.S. civilians in a retaliatory counterattack? No, they didn't. They went before the United Nations to condemn the attack and seek a resolution, which the UN Security Council, led by the U.S., predictably rejected. Iran then pursued legal recourse through the International Court of Justice, otherwise known as the ICJ, seeking a formal apology and reparations. The case was settled eventually in 1996 with the U.S. order to pay $132 million to Iran and the families of the victims, but without admitting legal liability or issuing a formal apology.
I'll never apologize for the United States of America. Ever. I don't care what the facts are. I will lead her. I will do my level best to stand up for freedom and democracy around the world by keeping the United States of America strong and by keeping our eyes wide open.
Yep, that's the rule. You can justify any atrocity because freedom and democracy.
You're a coward if you can admit that you're wrong.
You have an opinion on the man or bear being alone with you in the woods debate, you may want to listen to this true story of when it was a man versus a bear in a battle to the death, because it may just change your mind. Trust me, you won't believe who won this battle and how they did it. On November 1st, 1999, Gene Rowe was hunting deer all day on Kodiak Island, Alaska, when finally, just before dark, he got lucky. And so as he's skinning this freshly killed deer, he had no idea that he was about to go from the hunter to the prey.
Oh.
Now all Gene heard was this terrifying, deep, rumbling roar behind him. And so as he whipped his head around, he didn't even have time to think as this 1,400-pound, 10-foot-tall, when on its hind legs, Kodiak brown bear was barreling towards him and had already closed all the distance. Now, Kodiak brown bears are even bigger and generally more aggressive than grizzly bears, and this one was no exception, as it sunk its huge teeth into Gene's arm and slammed him to the ground like a rag doll. After that, it towered over Gene, and now Gene, full of adrenaline, kicked this bear right in its throat with his big, heavy hunting boots, and miraculously, this causes the bear to kind of choke a bit and even stumble down to the ground for just a few seconds. So Gene immediately jumps up to his feet, full of adrenaline still, and remembers he has a pocket knife in his pocket, and so he whips it out and then rammed it right into the bear's throat at the same time that this bear bit into Gene's leg with its huge teeth. But now that this bear's head was kind of turned down to get that bite on Gene's leg, Gene was able to raise that knife up high and slam it down again right into the bear's vertebrae, causing the bear to kind of lift its head up and back in pain. As it did, that open throat wound from that first knife hit Gene gave it just began spraying bear blood all over Gene, all in his face and all down his body. At this point, the knife is still stuck into the bear, and Gene had let go of it just during the commotion of this struggle. But after he hit it and this blood sprayed all over him, the bear kind of backed up, and so did Gene, and now these two are kind of just circling around. The bear begins circling around looking at Gene, and Gene kind of hobbles around because he's been so just shaken up and thrown down and hurt himself from this attack that they're just circling off now, looking at each other in this kind of wilderness, self-made arena. And now Gene thinks to himself, if I go another round with this bear, I'm not going to make it. And so out of pure desperation, he decides to say a prayer. And he says, Lord, please help me, Lord. Please just help me. And somehow, after this short prayer, he gets filled with this incredible self-confidence and just surety in himself. And he decides, you know what? Let's go. And he actually says these words out loud. He says, come on, bear. I have the Lord on my side. And just as he says this, the bear lunges at him. And so this huge bear is lunging at him. And now at the same time still, Gene lunges towards the bear because he is so just in this fight, all or nothing at this point. And so Gene has cocked back with his good arm because his other arm at this point is just hanging on by a few shreds of torn meat. And he is rearing back, heading into this bear. This bear's heading into him, and somehow Gene connects right with this bear's snout, right in its nose, as hard as he can. In fact, he hit it so hard that all of his knuckles and his hand bones broke, and he would not be able to feel anything in his arm for hours after this. When he hit that bear, the bear incredibly was knocked unconscious and fell to the ground so hard that it even bounced a little. And at this point, Gene had fallen too, just from this crashing impact, and he gets up and hobbles over to this that he had not had any chance to get to prior to this moment, and he tries to figure out how to pick up this and cock it and work it with these two basically incapacitated arms and hands. But ultimately he does manage to get it loaded, cocked, and ready, and delivers a final blow to the bear, killing it. Now after this, Gene still had plenty of trouble ahead of him. He had to make his way down an entire mountain to get back to his friends who would be able to help him. And he would say that at 3 different points during this climb down the mountain, this pain and agony is setting in from all his wounds and this adrenaline wearing off. He laid down 3 separate times and prayed to the Lord again to just simply take him from this earth, because he didn't think he could handle it. But he did, and he eventually made it back to his friend. They called for help, and he was flown to a hospital where he would later get 500 stitches and multiple reconstructive surgeries. Today, Gene still has some trouble extending and stretching one of his arms, but he also has the bear's skin pelt on his wall, as you can see here in this photo, as a reminder of the time he knocked out a 1,400-pound bear.
Moral of the story, if you have God on your back, you can go toe-to-toe with bear and won. But knocking out a Kodiak bear with one punch is crazy. If I'm fighting a bear, call an ambulance for me.
Hey, what's going on, guys? So I've been having trouble with my CPAP machine. It kept like cutting off in the middle of the night, suffocating me. So I got with Home Health, I got a new one, and it started doing the same thing immediately. My app would show me in the morning times how many times I stopped breathing in the middle of the night, and I just wake up, just constantly waking up. So I decided to get this little camera to watch me sleep, and I installed it yesterday. Y'all not gonna believe what I seen when I watched the camera this morning. Y'all watch this.
What is going on, bro?
Yep.
Bro.
I'm online right now changing all my beneficiaries for my life insurance, and I can't wait for her to get home today. Somebody got some splaining to do when she gets home from work today.
Good. If this is for real, you have a lot of videos and this is continuously happening, call the police. Please let this be a skit. My God.
All of what you see today are all just cheap knockoffs of the past. shelved until they could figure out a way to maximize profit off of it, while producing it as cheap as possible. Check out this 1950s electric skateboard, or even further back, how about the 1940s? Now, these technologies might not have been perfect back then, but it always amazes me how almost 100 years ago and beyond, their inventions just had so much more diversity and innovation. Here's the Autopad, the 1915 version of both electric and gas scooter. I bet all these two-wheeled scooters you see are much more durable and reliable than those lithium-ion batteries we have now in our scooters. The next one isn't battery powered, but it's still pretty darn cool. Just shows another example of the many different varieties of awesome innovations on two wheels from our past that all seem more solid and well built than any cheap plastic thing we get sold to us today.
Wow.
Question everything, friends. Until next time.
Our government and oil industry lobby has been suppressing this technology forever. Imagine where we would be if they got out the way.
We just paid for full self-driving for our Tesla over there, and we're going to have it, what's it called? Summon. We're going to summon it to come and pick us up is what it's called.
Wait a second, what did you just say? You're going to summon it?
What's it called? Summon. You're going to summon it.
So wait a second, let me get this right. The same guy that said this.
With artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, you sure you can control the demon? Didn't work out.
Who also wore a Baphomet costume with demonic symbolism right on his chest, who also wore a white jacket with the lettering with the Latin words Novus Ordo Seclorum, which means the New World Order or New Order for the Ages. And if you don't believe me, People magazine even made an article about him wearing this jacket with that lettering, meaning New World Order, and it was difficult to spot since the topper was so white. This is the same guy that makes a car that you summon through artificial intelligence technology to come to you without anybody driving it. Yeah, I think I'll pass. People are completely lacking spiritual discernment to trust this man. I don't trust him any more than I would trust a cup of tap water in Tijuana, okay? Now, I'm not going to tell you that he is the Antichrist or he is the false prophet, but I will tell you he is for sure operating off of the Antichrist spirit. And it will be very interesting to see what the future holds for Mr. Elon Musk. Now, I, for one, would never have a Tesla for multiple reasons. Now, I understand they're pretty cool with how fast they go and whatnot, and that is your own personal decision to make. But I don't trust Elon Musk whatsoever. The only one I do trust is Jesus Christ. So with that, guys, focus your eyes upon him. I would not be summoning anything, especially from a guy who declared that AI is summoning a demon, and then we are now summoning his car with AI technology in it to pick you up and then to drive you, to trust your life in that machine. I saw a video where a woman got locked in her Tesla because the battery died or something. She couldn't get out, and it was like 100 degrees outside or something hot, right? Like, how terrifying is that? And you have all these cars on the road that can be controlled, and they go from 0 to 100 in like 3 seconds, and then they have batteries that once they catch fire, you can't put them out. So you have literal missiles on the road that can just fly 100 miles per hour in a second, catch on fire, and you can't put them out. And they can be controlled from one source. You know, if a cyber attack happened, like, how absolutely terrifying is that? And it makes me think of the movie Leave the World Behind, where all the Teslas were broken down because, you know, EMP hit or whatever happened in that movie. But again, all conspiracy theories, all speculation, all for entertainment purposes. With that, guys, go enjoy your day. Love y'all so much. God bless. And remember, the just shall live by faith.
He also created the Neuralink, which translates to 666 in numerical Hebrew.
Now, I just had a revelation about this video, and it reminded me on why I don't let people touch me. By the way, they just jumped the car.
No way!
They just jumped the car like that. And what we just seen was energy transferred from this man to this man through them just touching each other. And let's not forget, we are electromagnetic beings, and electricity can't be transferred. When you shake somebody's hand or let somebody touch you, that energy still gets transferred. Now, some people notice it can literally drain you like an energy vampire or put a spell on you through just merely touching you. I know I'm not the only person that after I let somebody touch me, I shook their hand or something like that, I started to feel weird immediately after. I had to pray and get whatever was on them off of me. Now let's read some science behind it. By engaging in physical touch, we release oxytocin, forge deep connections, reduce stress, and promote emotional regulation, whether it's with a loved one or others. Now let's think about it. You don't want to just be forging a deep connection with anybody, because now you connect to somebody who might have stress, anxiety, or depression, or other low vibrational demonic entities, which is the reason why I really don't let people touch me. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. Like and follow for more wisdom and stay tuned. Follow me on YouTube if you want that exclusive content. Stay tapped in.
I'm protected by the blood of Christ. Hey, by the way, go watch the movie Fallen with Denzel Washington.
Some people who are going to see this picture and know exactly, they're going to be like, oh, I know what this video is about to be about. And there are some people who are going to be like, why am I looking at a dot or a deformed dot on someone's arm? For those of you who know what this is, stick with me. For those of you who don't know what this is, stick with me. If you have this and you know what this is, you probably speak another language. You speak a foreign language and you had to get this. Now, there are some people who do speak a foreign language and don't have this, probably because you were born here or you probably came here illegally. But I have so many questions about this. First of all, for those of you who have this mark, I'm gonna say it in Creole, this peaky, do you remember getting it? How did it feel? Why the hell is it so big? Like I've seen some that, you know, took up a good piece of space, but some are not as big as others. Why is the mark so prevalent? Like, why didn't it heal correctly? Is that how it's supposed to heal? Like, I've had peakies before and it goes in and it's like done. This looks like a stamp. Everybody from the islands, everybody from any diaspora, if you are from another country and you waltzed into the United States of America, they stamped you with this. Lord knows what they were putting in your body. I want to know, do y'all even remember getting this thing? Because most people that I asked was like, I was a baby, I don't remember. Would you get a tattoo over that? It looks like a belly button on an arm. And if you were born here, quote unquote, and you have this, talk to your parents. You probably were adopted. For those of you who have this, I want to know, did it hurt? What did it feel like? What's your story? Because I do speak another language, although I was born here, so I don't have that. Kind of jealous, might just get a tattoo of one. If you got this peaky mark, comment down below. I want to hear about it.
I think I have one, but I don't remember how I got it.
Else just feel like something's coming. An actual palpable feeling for me. And I don't know how to describe it. Maybe just like an impending something. I feel it coming. I don't know if it's God. I don't know if it's the government and something they're gonna pull. I don't know, but I feel it. And you know, I try to talk on here a lot. I got a new strike on my account this morning because they took down a video that I did, and it just reminds me of the evil that we're up against. Y'all, this is a spiritual battle. I am so glad more and more people are waking up, because we need to fight. It is time that we need to be bold in our faith, because this isn't about left or right. This isn't about, you know, anything like that, red versus blue, Democrats versus, it's none of that. This is pure good versus evil. And I feel it, and it's so prevalent now everywhere you look. I mean, we've got Haiti. Their government has it's a complete societal collapse. Not many people are talking about it. We have cannibalistic gangs running that country right now, and they are eating people on the streets. Y'all, this is scary times. We've got Pittsburgh now announcing, I think it's Pittsburgh, announcing that they're not even going to take 911 calls from like 3 to 7 a.m. This is really scary times that we're walking into, and it is because this is a spiritual battle. You need to armor up. If you know God, get in the word. If you know God, pray. If you know God, reach out to him, because we need to be strong in our faith. We need to be healthy. We need to be paying attention. I don't know. I just needed to take a second, because this is absolutely insane to me. what is going on around us. It is happening, and it is happening in real time. And I don't know what's coming. I don't know what I feel, but I know something's coming. And it is my duty to be bold in the word. It is my duty to be bold as a Christian. And that's what I'm doing. Because when I meet Jesus, I want him to say to me he was proud of me. I want to hear good and faithful servant. You know, this is what we need to be focusing on. We need to be focusing on Christ. We need to be focusing on our works down here on this earth when we're in the middle of the storm. Because y'all, that's what it is. It's a storm right now. This is an incredible spiritual battle that we are in. This is a verse that I was reading. This is Matthew 24, verse 46. He said, "Blessed is that servant whom the master finds doing his job when he comes." I want to meet Jesus and him say, "Well done." I want to hear he was proud of me. I want to hear good and faithful servant. I want all of the good things. So it is my job as a Christian to be bold, and I am going to be unashamed of the word of Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm. Yep, something big is coming. But focus on Christ alone, folks. The Holy Spirit will give you discernment.
The following footage is from a realtor named Chris Jackson. He was showing a home in Bowie, Maryland, and he had to pull out his phone to record it because you wouldn't believe unless you saw it yourself. And honestly, as you watch this video, it raises not only multiple questions, but it makes you feel like maybe they should involve the police. Take a look at this footage.
So I'm in Bowie, Maryland today, showing houses. And in 20 years in the industry of going in houses of all types, I've never seen anything like this. 6-foot gates, deadbolts, drawing on the wall in the back, so you know it wasn't a dog back there. Air conditioning. Are you serious?
A person can climb over that. I think an animal was kept in it. What do you think?
This Britney Spears Mandela effect theory is insane.
We're all familiar with this "Oops, I Did It Again" iconic look by Britney Spears, but please tell me what is missing here. Watch this, tell me if we all have the same answer. It's Britney, bitch. You guessed it. The microphone is missing. She had this black headset microphone in the music video, but now it's not there anymore. Old Halloween costumes, everyone had the mic, because it was part of it. Again, microphone. And microphone! Even old Barbies had the microphone. This one was by Britney Spears, so you know the microphone was legit. We're not making it up here. There was a microphone in the music video. Even a Lizzie McGuire episode with her playing Britney Spears, she had the microphone. Like, we all remember Britney having the mic, but now in the music video, she doesn't have the mic. Which is the Mandela effect, like we remember things differently than they actually are. When the music video came out in the 2000s, the microphone made a statement. This music video is lying. They're changing history, bro.
But why would they change Britney's mic?
Yup. They're gaslighting us to distrust our own minds and memories, creating a numbing effect.
You guys need to listen to the people that actually operate this equipment, that are on ships, that understand trajectory and ballistics and bullet drop. Also a correction, the tungsten projectile that is fired from a railgun weighs 3/4 of a pound. 3/4 of a pound and travels 17,000 feet per second. It is mounted on a destroyer, typically 80 feet above the ocean surface, right? The top of the ocean. And it only requires a 1.69 degree barrel elevation to hit a target 100 miles away. If you read the description in the original video, all of the calculations are provided. It was done by AI, and AI could not calculate 8 inches per mile squared and relate that to bullet drop. When the tungsten projectile reaches the target 100 miles away, the projectile is actually 34 feet higher from where it was fired. And if you look at a curvature calculator At 100 miles, at 8 inches per mile squared, using spherical trigonometry, if we live on a magical spinning water ball, then at 8 inches per mile squared at 100 miles, you're looking at 6,600 feet of drop. Are you guys telling me that this projectile fired at 100 miles is going to arc and drop 6,600 feet from the ship from which it was fired? I can't help you. We try, but I just feel like this is our club and you ain't in it.
All of us need to band together and go beyond Antarctica. We all know there's more land out there. Right now, we just the fish staying in the Earth's ecosystem.
No, you can't do that.
Yes, I can.
Alright.
It's a public beach, dude.
Come on, man.
It's a public beach.
I understand it's a public beach and I can't stop you, but now I have to explain it to my boss.
What? That I'm taking a video?
Alright. It is kind of hot, Sec. I mean, if you want to be cool, I don't know.
Okay. Hey, what's up? Okay.
Explain what to his boss? It's a public beach.
Absolutely blows my mind that nobody's talking about what this woman just said. Listen closely, it just might change your mind.
Things they don't tell you, part 76. If you are a smoker, whether it is tobacco use, whether it's marijuana, whether it's hookah use, all of these types of ingestions of foreign objects, foreign substances go directly into your lungs. What does that mean? That means that it makes your lungs more susceptible to pneumothoraces. This makes your lungs decrease in terms of its function. Yeah, even with marijuana.
So in that video, she talks about the long-term effects of inhaling smoke into your lungs. What she doesn't mention though is how to treat it. If you are a smoker, you should be taking this. It's a plant called mullein and you can probably find it growing in your own backyard. Look at all of its benefits. It's especially beneficial if you have asthma, COPD, bronchitis, or any other respiratory issue. If you do smoke and have a hard time quitting, here's how you use it. You can either harvest it, look for it at a Mexican grocer called Gordalobo, or you can buy it in tincture form. If you are going to use it in tincture form, the instructions are pretty simple. 2 full droppers in 8 ounces of water, and your lungs are gonna clear up.
If you don't know, now you know.
Do you know what the leading cause of death for pregnant people is?
Pregnant people?
Mm-hmm.
Mothers? Women?
If you'd like to call them mothers, not all of them are mothers, but if you'd like to call them that.
What are they if they're not mothers?
They're pregnant people.
What people other than mothers are pregnant?
Does it bother you to use inclusive language?
Well,
it's just interesting.
I prefer to use precise language.
It's interesting because you come into this conversation, you know, trying to hold this moral superiority, but then I
try to be moral when I can, but I...
Right, but when I use inclusive language, which it only takes a couple extra syllables to use inclusive language.
To include
and
who?
It seems to include people who don't, identify as women but can become pregnant.
Like a person who's born a woman and then identifies as a man and is pregnant.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that in order to be a moral person, I need to accept the idea that a man, someone who is born a man and looks like a man, can really become a woman. That's a prerequisite of my being a moral person.
I mean, yes, to me it is, because if you are trying to deny someone of their identity and deny what their life experience is, then that doesn't seem like a moral stance to me.
I would like to identify, I do identify actually, as the correct person on this issue of abortion. I identify as being correct and more correct than you on this issue. And I would just ask that you accept and affirm my identity.
Americans are weird, man. Not all of you, okay? Most of you are loving and God-fearing people. And she never answered what other people other than mothers can get pregnant.
25 might be the scariest experiment of all time. In the 1960s, a lot of people became concerned about what would happen if the global population exceeded global resources, something that we still struggle with today. But one guy, John B. Calhoun, had the opposite concern and wanted to know what would happen to a society with too much abundance. So he put it to the test. He took 4 breeding pairs of mice and put them in an enclosure with enough space and enough food for 5,000 mice. His question was, what happens to mice when they don't have to worry about food, temperature, space, shelter, or disease, and essentially live in a mice utopia? And the answer was, they got busy reproducing. After 100 145 days, the population skyrocketed from 8 to 620. With nothing really to do, the mice started to separate themselves into different social groups, and the mice that couldn't find a role in a group withdrew themselves and started to pile in the middle. The groups then started to turn on and eat each other. Mothers simply forgot about or abandoned their young. Most mice eventually gave up mating altogether. With the low birth rate, high infant mortality, and even higher violence, the entire colony went extinct shortly after. The population peaked at 2,200 in an enclosure with enough space and enough food for 5,000.
The problem was there was no enrichment for the mice. Essentially, the colony died from boredom. Sounds familiar?
You mean to tell me iPhones been being discriminatory against Androids on purpose? Whole time I thought that was just the mechanics. I thought that the reason that, you feel me, Androids text iPhones and it's green, that's just, they couldn't help it. That was their mechanics. But no, because why is Apple being sued by the Department of Justice for creating things to make it seem like the consumer has no choice but to use Apple products with Apple products, basically monopolizing their products and making it very hard for Androids to interact with iPhone products and not be treated like it's a different brand. Examples of this include when you get pictures from Androids and they always look a little dusty, but when you get a picture from an iPhone, it's always clear. I thought that was just the technology and the mechanics. No. Another example of this is, like I mentioned earlier, when you get a text message from an Android, it could be blue, but Apple was like, nah, we're going to make it green. So they be feeling icky and gross when they text the Androids. You see, it's all marketing. That's crazy. iPhone versus Android is literally a marketing scheme, a marketing tactic. Because, in fact, I worked in phones, and iPhones and Androids literally have the same exact qualities, everything. Sometimes Androids have more advanced technology, if you will, and iPhone will get it years later. This, that, and the third. They make each other's parts. Another example of this is when you transfer data from an iPhone to iPhone, it's a seamless and flawless experience. Ask me how I know this. I sold phones for years before I got into marketing. But from iPhone to iPhone, it's a seamless transition. From Android to iPhone, you can have all type of difficulties, all type of things not working, and everything not transferring over. So it's all literally making sense. Like, for years, I knew Androids and iPhones were no better than one another. But what I didn't know was Apple was doing it on purpose. They're literally doing it on purpose. So for the whole, which one is better, iPhone versus Android, they the same. Different brand, same purpose, same thing.
Android had a contactless payment a good 10 years before Apple Pay. And I also have iPhone. The restriction on Apple products are wild.
It's basically everything. It has triglycerides, MCTs, copper, magnesium, potassium, zinc. Why we're told to have enough goat milk, Proverbs 27:27, for our entire home. And especially the young maidens, because it helps them with their menstrual cramps. Better than salt. That's also why we're told to salt every offering, Leviticus 2:13. You add the salt to the goat milk to get the fullest effect, because we're solving the top two deficiencies in the world when we're using these biblical protocols in foods and drinks. Copper's the #1 deficiency, and everybody's suffering from a copper deficiency as well as a magnesium deficiency, right? We're told to have enough goat milk for our entire home because it helps to solve that copper and that magnesium deficiency that basically everybody in the world has. So the more goat milk we consume, the more copper and magnesium we consume, the more we fix that deficiency, and the more we're able to rebuild the immune system, the eyes, the ears, the skin, everything. It's laid out like a perfect masterpiece. It's a blueprint. Come in with the blueprint. Show me. Just like they changed your salt to fake white iodized table salt, they changed your goat milk too, because they took it off your shelves. It's very difficult to get any kind of goat milk anywhere anymore, or raw milk, because they don't want you to know about the healing benefits. The #2 most mineral dense drink on the planet is goat milk, right? So next to your mother's breast milk. That's why the bodybuilders drink the goat milk, and they pay top dollar for breast milk too. I just think it's a little bit weird. I understand that most people can't get the actual raw milk. So go ahead and hit the bio link if you want to get some goat milk powder.
Yeah,
that way you
powder.
can just basically put this in your water, your drinks. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. But remember, you need this goat milk, because that's what Proverbs 27:27 is. It's a blueprint for your body, guys. And when you start to take goat milk, your brain is made mostly out of fat. And everything that's in that goat milk helps to turn on and activate your brain, your neurogenesis, new brain cells. Did you know that about goat milk? It activates new brain tissue. And it's a covenant of salt that will last forever, Numbers 18:19. So add the salt to the goat milk. You can start to spice up that milk. Start adding turmeric. Start adding some black pepper, right? That's called golden milk in India. That's how they heal all of these issues of life. You're welcome. But it's also why we made you a Bible health book.
It's easy to get a real goat milk here in Indonesia. We have a lot of them, and it's cheap. But I cannot stand the smell.
She was much sharper than her doctors, and they were only able to get her to quit smoking after they put her in a nursing home at age 120. They were afraid that it was going to shorten her life. Now, the one that the physicians are really into is the Mediterranean diet. They love this Mediterranean diet thing. This is where you're supposed to give up red meat, and you're supposed to rip the chicken skin off your chicken and eat a lot of fish, and you're supposed to eat lots of vegetables and grains, lots of pasta, you know, and breads and things. Little wine's okay according to the Mediterranean diet. But the proof is not in the pudding for the Mediterranean diet. First of all, because the average lifespan for the Greeks and the Italians, who eat the most of it, is 75.5, just like us. So there's no longevity benefit for that diet. And here's a specific example. Pope John Paul II, of course, has been in Italy for the last 15 or so years. He just turned 75 years old about 4 years ago. Not 4 years, 4 weeks ago, excuse me, 4 weeks ago. And he has degenerative arthritis. He has osteoporosis sufficient to the point where he had to have hip replacement surgery. He has failing health, doesn't have stamina anymore, where he has to cancel 50% of his speaking engagements. And, I mean, you would like to think that if anybody in Italy would get the very best that the Mediterranean diet could offer would be the Pope, right? And unless he's been sneaking sausage in from Poland under the table and eating that all the time, the proof is not in the pudding for the Mediterranean diet. My heroes in the alternative health field for many, many years, of course, was Linus Pauling. And Linus was famous for a variety of things. Number one, he was one of 2 people who ever had 2 Nobel Prizes. I mean, this guy was a genius when it came to biochemistry and biology and zoology. Nobody could argue with his intelligence, and famous for was his interest in vitamin C. And he believed that you could get everything you needed from your 4 food groups. You get all the vitamins and minerals and amino acids and fatty acids you needed from your 4 food groups. However, because of the stresses of modern day life and the pollution in the air and water and food, he believed you needed extra vitamin C. And to prove that that would help you live a long, healthful life, he faithfully took 10,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day for 35 years. Didn't take any other supplements, but he took 10,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day for 35 years. And of course, he died at age 93 from a widely disseminated prostate cancer. And here's, after I've read all his books and papers and scientific literature and so forth, and listened to his tapes and looked at his videos and whatnot, and reading things on vitamin C myself, here's what I can guarantee you. If you faithfully take 10,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day for 35 years, and you're a woman, I can guarantee you, you will never get prostate cancer. Little gal here, Margaret Skeet, actually died at age 115 in 1994, a year ago, and she looks pretty good for 115, doesn't she? Looks a lot better than these 25-year-olds who subsist on Pepsis and ding-dongs and things like that. She was very bright, didn't have Alzheimer's, and she died of a nutritional deficiency disease. She actually fell and broke her hip from osteoporosis. 3 weeks later, she was dead. She died of pneumonia. This is not unusual because 75% of the people over age 65 in America who break a hip or a major leg bone don't live 90 days. They have complications of that fracture. Ava Gabor, just last week, died at age 74, fractured her hip, went into the hospital. 5 days later, she was dead from pneumonia. Doesn't matter how much money you have. If you have a calcium deficiency, it's going to get you. In the Guinness World Book of Records, not because he was 133. Many people live longer than that, as you will see. And he remarried at the age of 80 for the 4th time. That didn't get him in the Guinness World Book of Records. All I have to do is go to Vegas and sit in front of those little chapels. You see that. But the fact that he fathered 4 boys and 5 girls with the same wife after the age of 80, 9 months for the pregnancy and then breastfeeding and a little time in between each baby, he was still fathering children after the age of 100. That's what got him into the Guinness World Book of Records. So there's hope for some of you guys in the back of the room. She was survived by 6 living children who ranged in age between 120 and 128. They hadn't even left home to go to college yet. And then another thing I found interesting was her oldest son said his mother had never visited a doctor, never took any pharmaceuticals or drugs, did take a few herbs during her life, and so there's beginning to be a message developed here, right? This fellow here, Shirali Mismaloff, from Azerbaijan, the Caucasus Mountains in Western Soviet Union at this time, May of 1973, turned 168. And he was featured in that January 1973 issue of the National Geographic. And when he turned 168, some 5 months later, he went out and hoed the garden to show reporters how vigorous he was at 168. G. Dagayev turned 140. He was also from Azerbaijan, and the literal translation of his village's name was a village of centenarians, people who lived to be 100. And 50% of the people in his village at his birth date were over 100.
In the Himalayas, they realized people were living to 120, 140 years of age. How it took a while, but the water was the answer. Japanese scientist was given the Nobel Prize in his invention. Everybody knows about this. Alkaline water.
If you want to level up your life and beat the Matrix and stop playing the elite's game, you need to stop being so programmable. So here I'm going to show you a video clip of Ice Cube, who used to be a pretty big rapper in the 90s and early 2000s, talking about how music is controlled. And a lot of you already know this, but some of you don't know this. The artists are being told what to sing about. Half of the time, their songs aren't even theirs.
You said that the record industry uses social engineering in rap to encourage criminal behavior. At what point did you realize?
Oh man, after I got mature in the game, after I knew that records were made by committee. A lot of albums, a lot of dope songs people like are made by a group of people telling rappers what to say, or what's dope, or that line ain't good enough, or let's change this, get somebody up here that can write, and all this kind of hip hop by committee. And
music and promoting a certain lifestyle is just one of the ways that they keep controlled. This is why they keep saying, especially in rap songs and hip hop songs, Gucci, Louis, Fendi, all of these big brands, they're like trigger words to make you feel like you're not living up to your potential. And these celebrities are getting free stuff from these big brands to get you, poor people, you peasants, to buy their products. And the cycle of poverty continues. That's how they keep you trapped in the fight or flight, so you don't build generational wealth, to get yourself out of this matrix, to stop playing this game. Another way that they keep you trapped in the matrix, which is mostly a Western thing, I don't see this happening in most countries. So like in the United States, we have the independence culture, where you're expected to move out of your parents' house by 18 or 21 latest. But in other countries like Spain and China and other parts of Europe, that is kind of unheard of. Families live together to build wealth together. That is why it's called generational wealth. When you have a cushion and a foundation and you know you're a mature adult, you get to expand your horizons even more by purchasing even more properties instead of going out at 18 and 21 and having almost $0 to your name, being in student debt and trying to live by yourself, as if you're ever going to build any type of wealth. For the majority of you guys, you won't. There is a reason why the elite, the rich, the Illuminati, Rothschilds, they hoard their money and they keep it within the family, because this is how they build their empire. How do you build an empire? You keep it within the family. This is also why the royals, the blue bloods, they don't really ever breed with people outside of the royal bloodlines. Just look at ancient Egypt and even England back then. They were all inbred because they hoard. A part of the spiritual awakening path is not just about the woo-woo spiritual, like up in the air kind of psychic stuff. It's also very, very practical things that you need to implement. Stop falling for their tricks and games. And gratefully, a lot of you already know what's going on, so this video is just like extra confirmation. But for those of you just spiritually waking up and just figuring out that this matrix is a game and they're trapping you here, release the need to live for the Joneses. Just live for yourself. Learn how to build your own empire so you can tap out of this stupid matrix game. Generational struggles financially causes generational trauma. A lot of the issues rooted in humanity is due to the fact that we're always in fight or flight. We don't have enough resources. And this is what the people in control want you to stay at for generations, so they can control you like the sheep that they think you are. So stop being a sheep. If you would like me to coach you on how to up-level your life and how to even expand your horizons using spirituality, you can book a one-on-one spiritual coaching session with me. It is linked in my bio. And if you're curious to learn about everything I talk about in my videos, my book, Made in God's Image, speaks about all you need to know in terms of this matrix, fallen angels, how we got here, how to ascend out of here. That is also linked in my bio.
It sounds like she's going to teach New Age stuff. But I agree with some of her points.
Nicholas and Helena Roerich, ex-Russian patriot, and they weren't on board with the communist thing, so they fled to the U.S. But what's weird about them is that they were like world-renowned mystics. So they were like very much a part of like the occult and like mysticism. They had American sponsors to look for the lost city of Shambhala, which is a city that is in the hollow earth. The city is ruled by godlike people that possess knowledge and technology that surpasses what we know. They were going to the Himalayas in Tibet, and it was going to be a 5-year journey. So it was Nicholas, Helena, and then a crew of 5. And this is where it gets weird. The whole party disappeared for 12 months. They reemerged after 12 months. 5 of the 7 in the party died. And when they were questioned, no clear answer. So they went back to the U.S. because the sponsors that sponsored them to go were so well pleased that they ended up getting Franklin D. Roosevelt to sign a thing for them to go back to Tibet.
3.
What's wrong with that lady? Is she okay? If you pay attention, she only contribute weird noises. Like that.
Incredible supplements if you have the money and you want like insane healing in your body, or you want incredible skin, whatever your goals are, both health, aesthetics, these will help you reach them. Also, I'm not affiliated, sponsored by anyone or anything. Okay, long story short, I just read a ton and I helped heal my partner's autoimmunities, specifically eczema, PCOS, PMDD related symptoms, and I saw a huge transformation in my own self. So now I'm just sharing everything with anybody that wants to listen. So first supplement would be MitoPure by Timeline Nutrition. It is based off of the postbiotic urolithin A, which most people don't have the gut bacteria to make. And even if you could, to make in the amounts that this product delivers, you couldn't do. Long story short, it boosts your mitochondrial function like tenfold. Studies they've done are crazy. They've taken sedentary adults above age like 60 and seen upwards of 10 to 12% increase in skeletal muscle over a very short time frame without changing any other factors in their life. So that's insane for everything in the body. Second is a product called Stem Regen. It's a bunch of plant compounds that when you take them, they cause the natural release of bone-derived stem cells that are in your bone marrow, and they circulate the body and they migrate and differentiate into tissues in need of repair. They've seen this in everything from heart cells, kidney cells, lung cells, stomach cells, brain cells, you name it, it happens. And it's like, yeah, just crazy that we have access to this. The research is crazy. People are healing things that they didn't think they could heal with this. And obviously all the other things you do, lifestyle wise, what you eat, etc. But this is just like an incredible thing that we have access to in 2024. Third is a product called N101. I've talked about their face cream, but they also have a supplement form that you can take internally, and it buffers as well, so it keeps your nitric oxide amounts at the optimum. And nitric oxide is super important for delivering oxygen to the cells, the exchange that happens between the hemoglobin in your blood and the cells. Nitric oxide plays a super important role, and when you get better blood flow everywhere, you get better healing, better energy, you name it, you get better of it when you get better blood flow, and when your cells are able to get oxygen easily. All right, I hope that helped. If you want to know where to get those, go to my Notion page on Instagram. I have all that and tons of other stuff, updating it every day, adding a books and resources page this week.
If you got the money, folks, there you go. But always do your own research first. If you don't know, now you know.
Cockroach is the cousin of a shrimp. So a cockroach is a land shrimp. A shrimp is a sea cockroach. Same family, they got the same last names and everything. Same thing as a crab and a spider.
What's the last?
Same, spider and the crab is in the same exact family. What we have made the basically the trash cans of the ocean and the trash cans of the earth are delicacy. But this is the same thing that happened in slavery, where they gave us a pig and gave us the most nasty, horrendous parts of the pig, and then we turned it into a delicacy, like chitterlings. What is amazing about eating the intestines of a pig? But we turned that into a delicacy. We put all of our seasonings on it. You know, that's causing all types of tapeworms, hookworms, fluke worms, Fasciolopsis booski.
What?
What?
Get these roaches out of my food.
They're not roaches. They're
roaches, and I don't like roaches. Or if you don't take to the ocean, you're not gonna eat it, so you better take it.
I mean, they're shrimp, baby.
Who like shrimp? They look like road shrimp. Put it in my food. Put it in your food.
Not fish, especially not shrimp. Shrimp is full of defecation. Shrimps is made to clean the ocean. If y'all keep eating all the shrimps and eating all the catfish out of the sea, then what's going to keep the ocean clean? For the ocean can give us planktons and give us oxygen. A lot of people think most of the oxygen come from the trees, but majority of your oxygen that you breathe in actually come from the ocean.
No lobster.
No. Lobster is a sea. That's a sea monster.
Good God, man, I'm down for change.
This is what I'm saying. I just want you to look at. So you're not supposed to eat anything that's. Why would you eat a bottom feeder?
You know.
Bro, I love shrimp. We got jumbo shrimps here, and they're so good. But let me know how you feel about this, folks.
That as a human being, from the moment you're born, you slowly glycate. You slowly cook.
You start to cook.
Yes, like a chicken in the oven. And then when you're fully cooked, you die. I know it sounds crazy, but it is true. And on the inside, you're actually browning. If you look at the cartilage of a baby, it's white. If you look at the cartilage of somebody who's 100 years old, it's brown. It's been glycated. Glycation is cooking and it's aging. Now, why am I telling you this? Because every time you have a glucose spike, it accelerates glycation. Glucose causes this cooking, causes this glycation, causes this aging. So the more glucose spikes you have, the faster you age. And this shows on your skin as wrinkles. I'm actually 85 years old, but you can't tell because I don't have glucose spikes. And it also ages your organs. And that's just one of the few things that happen when you have too many glucose spikes over time.
I'm a medium rare. Alright folks, I'm going to end our video with this coming clip. Be kind to each other. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And don't forget to like or dislike so I can make a better content. You can also buy me a coffee or support me on Patreon if you like. The links are in the description below. Thank you for watching. Peace and God bless.
About Tom Brady. The man in the arena, the GOATs, Tom. I know Bill Belichick showed up late, but don't worry, I'm sure he has someone secretly recording this so we can watch the whole thing later, okay? Bill has secretly filmed more guys playing for the other team than Diddy. That's your boy, Kev. Tom said that the reason he loves football is because it allows him to be his most true, authentic version of himself, hiding behind a mask, throwing things at black people. I'm kidding. He never threw to the black guys. Gronkowski, Edelman, Welker. That's not a receiving corps. That's a law firm. And with that divorce coming up, you're going to Oh, that's why Dana's here. So you can learn how to Brazilian out of half their purse. Tom, you remind us that no matter how big you get, how successful you are, how much you accomplish in your life, you can always end up a twice divorced supplement salesman in Tampa, Florida. And for that, we all thank you. You are the GOAT. Thank you so much for even doing this, brother.